Brain Candy Podcast, episode 596. Susan here.
Sarah here. Sarah Still Patterson here, because apparently getting your last name changed, you need to fucking give a DNA sample.
Well, because in California, you're Sarah Rice.
Well,
legally, right?
According to the Social Security office, I'm Sarah Rice, but I'm still Sarah Patterson on my driver's license. And in order to get the photo ID that says Sarah Rice back to my original name, I had my marriage certificate, I had my divorce decree, I had my passport, I had my Social Security card, I had my driver's license, and they were like, not good enough.
Yeah, so what's the deal now? Do you have to
I have to get my birth certificate. I have to get a record of live birth. The long
form one?
From the county that I was born in. But when I went to go do that, they were like, oh, no, we can't just give you that. You have to go print these documents, and then you have to go to a notary, and you have to get it notarized with, okay? So, and I'm like,
you have to go to a notary. You know, it's all...
Google Sarah Rice. See how that's me?
It's so silly. I mean, not to belabor the point, but when I wanted to be Susie instead of Susan, like legally, I thought it would be relatively easy. And it was with this Social Security office, which is like the lowest rung. But then to get a license in Pennsylvania, they wouldn't go for it. So then when I moved to California, I was able to do it. They have a lower threshold. So then I became Susie Meister Butler. Legally, I'm not legally Susan anymore. So, but then when I came back to Pennsylvania, they took the California license and then they allowed it. So it makes no sense.
These are the things, because in California, this would have already been a done deal.
Right. Oh, well.
But it's fine. It's better.
So, yeah, you got a whole lot of work to do, but you'll be a Rice eventually.
Yeah. It'll be fine. Slow and steady.
Slow and steady. All right.
The funny thing is my ex-husband is getting married again, and I think he's going to have he's going to have two people with his last name.
Neither of whom probably really want it deep inside.
I did not say that. I don't even know this woman. I do not know this woman.
So it's like, let the record show.
Let the record show. I do not care.
No. I feel bad for her.
Yeah, I just think it's funny that, like, you can have two people with, like, I don't know. I can change it. So it was so easy to change it.
That is a great
Patterson.
point.
That's the part that is stupid. You did not need, because you know why? I had a man there saying, yeah, she's Sarah Rice. Fuck that.
That is something I never thought of. That to get it changed to Patterson was very easy. Almost too easy.
Too easy.
But then to undo that,
yep,
they need some sort of man to vouch for you, I guess.
Right. I should just bring in a man. Be like, look, I brought my brother a man. He says I'm Sarah Rice.
Does this mean nothing?
One of the things, if I haven't mentioned this or if you've forgotten, that I just think is so fun for me and the paperwork I have to do, I got my driver's license, or not my driver's license, my passport changed to Patterson. It arrived, like I went through the whole process. It arrived the same week I announced to my husband I wanted a divorce. The same week.
What do you learn from that? I love that you have to think about it.
Don't get married.
Well, okay, yes, but also if you do, maybe don't wait fucking 4 years or whatever to update your passport.
Yeah,
Sarah.
we should also say this was not like an annulled marriage. This was like it was no joke.
It wasn't like B. Spears in Vegas. Well,
because here's why. This is the part, because everything's a hassle. I had that what is it called? You know when you can go, you don't have to do the passport thing anymore. You had like clear
ID.
What the hell? Clear ID. I had like that, like internationally, it was like checked out and everything with the last name Rice. So I had to surrender that when I switched over. So I was waiting till that expired because I was like,
I get that. Okay. I retract my judgment.
Thank you.
But it is a pain and it is ridiculous. And I cannot figure out the solution to the name problem because you know how everyone's like, you know, you are birthed and then you get your dad's name usually. And then you get married and you take on your husband's name. But there's no other, I mean, what are you going to do? Change your name to like your mom's maiden name? But that's still like man's, everything is, it's entrenched.
Right.
We need to be like Phoebe and become like Banana Hammock, whatever her name was.
Like whatever we want.
Princess.
You know who I loved, who did it is Cheryl Strayed, who wrote Wild.
What'd she do?
She picked the last name Strayed.
Just out of thin air?
She had an opportunity. It was when she got divorced. When you get divorced, you have the chance to write in whatever name you want. She lived in a state
You thinking about doing that?
No.
Just think about it.
Like what I would want. I could pick anything I fucking want right now. What would it be?
Well, no,
but Sarah Rice is like me.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
It feels like me. Anything. When I was little, my mom used to sing me a funny song that was called Sarah Sponda. Sarah Sponda, Sarah Sponda, Sarah Sponda,
what if you chose the name
Sarah Sponda,
Sponda?
Sarah Sponda, Sarah Sponda, red set set. It was like that.
What if you changed it to Sponda?
Sarah Sponda.
Yes.
I already look like a cartoon character. I don't need a name that sounds like one too.
Sarah Sponda. Oh God, you guys need to remember that because I'll be using that.
Sarah Sponda. That's our new password for the
Right.
book club.
Oh my God.
Lord.
Well,
I've totally derailed this. I'm sorry. Go back.
All right. First up, I want to talk about how there was a man who died of a heart attack who coincidentally at that very moment was being studied for an issue. Did you read about this?
Is this about the our life flashes before our eyes thing?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, continue.
Yes. He died of a heart attack, but he was being studied for something else in the brain with
epilepsy.
an EKG. Yeah, seizures. Yeah. And so he had those things on his head. And so they were able to chart what parts of the brain did what. And the rhythmic brain wave patterns, they were observed to be similar to those that happen when you're retrieving memories.
And dreaming.
And meditation. And so it supports a theory called life recall, where, you see your life. What do you think?
I love it. I would imagine that it has to do with hormones released from the pineal gland.
Why?
Because that's like where all that stuff is like controlled. And so I think that...
Why would death trigger that?
Because that's the only time when it does. When it releases, like dreaming, and I can't remember what it is, but there is something and it is released from the pineal gland at death, and there's something in there. It's like what they extract, like DMT. Have you heard of that drug? It's like that. Mm-hmm. That's
yeah, but what would the
same thing that's
let's
released
say it's
when you die?
Evolutionary.
Oh,
thing.
I see.
Yeah, like what would
What's the purpose?
What would the purpose be? And maybe the purpose is just some sort of weird. What?
I mean, I want to say that it fits like simulation theory and all that, where it's just like like
they're rewinding the tape.
Yes.
Like be kind, rewind.
Yeah.
What?
Like there's something about like like you need.
The only time you even kind of convinced me that there could be that simulation theory was when I had that run-in with the police that I'm very vague and mysterious about. And I kept having dreams about it and stuff, and you said, it feels like in another parallel universe, the outcome was different.
Yeah.
And like you got arrested or something.
And don't you feel in a weird way that exists somewhere?
When you said that, that's why I say it's the only time I ever was kind of convinced, because I was like, okay, I get that.
Okay, I want to go back to last episode when you were giving me a hard time about my feely stuff, and I said, I don't know what the fuck it is, but we can feel something, right? Like there's this sense. You have that that I'm telling you, that there's somewhere else. If only she saw Interstellar, folks. All of this would make sense.
The thing holding me back from like optimal brain performance
is seeing Interstellar. But she'd be like, I get it all now.
Yeah, it's like LSD, where I'm like,
totally.
oh.
Susie needs to do LSD and watch Interstellar, and we'll probably like solve all of the problems. And who's calling me? Send a voice. Get out of here.
I don't know. These feely things. Okay, people are going to be really mad at me. We're going to get a hate mail. I know it. Don't, because I'm sensitive. But like all you people, Sarah and whoever agrees with
I'm
her.
like, she's talking to me.
Who are like, I'm an empath and like I feel things. Here's my definition of an empath.
Okay.
It's so mean that like
Cynical
I'm already,
Susie.
I feel like I'm reading the hate mail. An empath, as I understand it, is someone who makes everything about them.
Oh.
Like where other people are in pain and you're like, no, it's my pain now. No, fuck off. It's not your pain.
Yeah, I will say elements of that for sure. In a way, I think you're right. Because I think people who are empathic like that have to become hyper aware to the emotions of others for their own safety when they're younger, because nobody's aware of the emotions, that nobody's taking care of that individual's emotions. So they have to become extremely tuned in to those around them, which then turns into some narcissistic traits as you're older because you were deprived of that when you were younger. So yeah, I'd agree with that.
That totally makes sense.
Up.
And if somebody frames it like that, that's not offensive to me. That's,
right.
It's explanation. Yeah. But what they tend to do, at least on like fucking Instagram, is like act as if this is some sort of, you care so much about others that they want to pretend like that they don't care about themselves. It's just like, I just feel for everyone.
Yeah, but that's I would say that self-abandonment is not a positive thing. Like we're looking at something where as like, okay.
I don't think they're abandoning themselves. That's what I'm saying.
But saying like, oh, I care so much about you that I don't care about myself. Like it is a form of manipulation and like control in a way. Like
what is?
That I'm going to care about other people instead of myself. If I care about, because it's usually for like a personal benefit.
Well, that's why I wouldn't use the word instead of. Because I don't think it is instead of. I think they
right.
just
I don't think people are aware of it.
No, I don't either.
Right. So that's what I mean. Like I think
yes.
it's in the yeah. Mm-hmm. Totally.
All right. Well, I don't even know if we agree or not, but I like where we went with it.
Yeah. I mean, we do. Here's the thing. What that is doing is it's looking at the positive side to a two-sided coin. It's looking at saying, I'm an empath and I'm a feeler and I just feel people's emotions so much. I say this all the time. I want to, and I should specify, it's more when we want to control the feelings of others, or when we hope that through our actions, we can somehow change how other people feel. That's the more controlling and manipulative thing that I was talking about. So less empathetic, or not as much with the empaths. But so that's one side of it is I feel so much, I care about everybody. There's a flip side to that. There's like, you got to explore like the shadow self, the other side to that, which is I'm putting my needs first. I'm maybe, I think maybe they're not looking at the other side. It would be maybe, who knows? We can.
Yeah, I just feel like
but I think that's
it like
looking
a
at
badge of honor. It's not that. It's not. They act like it's like, see how great I am.
That I'm an empath and a feeler. Everything is just a flip. That is
so true.
Positive side of the of like in the same way that there are so many things like coping strategies that people develop that are really good.
Right.
But
situationally.
Also, yes. Mm-hmm. Where caring about everyone and putting everybody's needs before yours, yes, sounds like a really wonderful thing. But then when you abandon your own needs and you get to the point where you're so exhausted that then you need other people to kind of rally around you or like be supportive. There's always a flip side to everything. There's like a shadow self.
Every strength is also a weakness.
Yes.
I agree with you.
Every single thing. You
and
pick it.
Anybody that's been in a relationship knows that, because the same things you're attracted to end up repulsing you. Eventually
100%.
with your partner.
Yes. I always say the same thing that makes me funny and witty makes me, I had to learn how to tame that because it makes me sharp-tongued and really cruel in an argument, because I can just think of I can like, oh, I can go there. But now I don't because I learned that.
That's nice. Yeah. Yeah, you're self-aware.
I can remember. I learned that with my ex-husband. I remember the one thing I said that he just rang over and over. It's like the most hurtful thing, because I knew. I was like,
yeah,
oh,
but
I
it was
got
so
one.
Great.
And it was like my trump card of everything of all time.
Well, to be fair, he did it to you as
right,
well.
and all the time.
Yeah.
So
right.
people just don't expect it from me. And then I'm like, oh, okay, there you go.
Right.
Use my powers for evil. That was fine.
Whether you're an empath or not, you need therapy. And thankfully, there's a place called BetterHelp that is out in the ether, right? So you don't even have to go anywhere. You don't have to go to an office. You can just use BetterHelp through your phone or your tablet or your computer and meet with mental health professionals about whatever it is that you're, struggling with. If it's relationships or depression or anxiety, sleep, whatever. They have people that can help you. And everybody needs therapy.
All the time. And the people who think that they don't need therapy probably need it the most. So.
I know. It's like imposter syndrome. I always say all the wrong people have imposter syndrome. I kind of feel like all the wrong people are getting therapy. But but everyone needs it, so it's not possible. But, they have a deal for you, so give it a try. What do you say? This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Brain Candy listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/BrainCandy. That's BetterHelp.com/BrainCandy.
Whoa!
Okay. Moving on. Yeah. Did you watch
I think
Down?
It's so funny that, like, I read so many articles in the week, and the ones that stand out in my mind, like, I brought you the article about the guy who stuck a battery in his dick. Meanwhile, we both read the thing on surviving, afterlife, for like a life recall. Didn't think to put that one on the top of the list.
So when you read an article, you don't automatically think this could be great on Brain Candy?
No, I do. I think that with so many of the ones that I read, and then only certain ones stick out, or I'll have like a list of all of them, and then the one where I'm like, oh, I want to talk about that one. That one's funniest.
Yeah, true. It's so funny.
It's like what I read and then what I see that morning, or I hear something. I'm like, oh, let's talk about this.
That's part of why I wanted to do the thing that we have on Patreon, where you can become Sarah and my close friends on Instagram, because I read so many things,
Susie,
but they're not all great.
I am so excited that you have started to do what you do in the close friends. It's fantastic. If you guys are not following Susie's close friends, she will highlight.
Sarah.
No, mine are like funny things about like the dude I'm dating or like my dog.
People love that.
I'm sure it's different kind of content though.
Yeah.
But Susie will like read an article, then highlight sections, and then point to, and it's all the stuff that you want. It's super like well curated. It's so good.
Thank you. I
am learning so much, and I like that. You're a great follow for close friends.
But it's like, I get so excited, and like I just want to give them all this content and just be like, read this, because just trust me.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like, they're not going to believe me, but this is a great article. But anyway, it's fun because...
I think also you do a good job of probably reading doing this during like regular human hours. I think I like look at these things and get the articles at like 1 o'clock in the morning. So I really am writing it down in like random places. And then I need to be more organized in how I need a spreadsheet like your doc club. I need to I need to get like a that's it maybe where I write them. They're everywhere.
I know. I just...
You're so good at
not
that.
Not everything that you consume is great for Brain Candy, so it's nice to have somewhere else to put it because they're still great. It's just different, whatever.
Oh, I
Okay.
love that one on Ali Wong. I mean, I would just talk about Susie's Instagram for the rest of this. We're like, what are you talking about, Sarah?
Okay. So anyway, our life flashes before our eyes, which, you know what? Actually, this is a good segue because the next thing I'm going to talk about is the documentary Downfall on Netflix about the Boeing.
Do I need to see this?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's good. And it's not like splashy. It's more
Well, no, how can it
informative
be?
because it's about the Boeing jet crashes in like 2018.
That just
why-
disappeared.
Well, it didn't.
Well,
They found the black box
pieces.
and everything, but the too long don't read version is just greed. The Boeing company didn't train their pilots to use their new planes on purpose.
No.
Yeah, like they
No.
didn't. They just decided like it's too expensive and like we don't have time for that. Let's just get these out. They'll figure it out.
No.
And then after the first plane went down, instead of just sort of realizing that was a mistake, they said, "Oh, that's because they're from Jakarta, Indonesia. Where's that? Jakarta, Indonesia. Fuck. Anyway, they're from a place where they're not white, and so they just don't know how to fly. Here in the United States, we know how to fly, so we're fine. It's these other exotic others.
I had no idea that they knew what happened
Yeah.
and that it was this feels like when the car companies do the math
Yes,
on
exactly right.
whether we're going to do a recall or how many people died. What the actual fuck?
It is so
Who can you
disturbing.
trust? I don't want to be all conspiracy theory. I'm definitely not that. More like a realist. More like looking at greed. I think you're right when you say greed.
Yeah, because they
I'm
make
sick.
it very clear how it happened, why it happened, and they provide context. Like back in the 80s, here's what Boeing was like, and then here's what changed and why, and here's the cost of human beings, and it's very sad. And
What changed? Different people owned it.
They were bought out. They merged, and so they had different management, and then it became about cost cutting to maximize profits instead of like providing the best quality, safe product. And
We're not talking fucking couches and sofas here.
right.
We're
on.
talking airplanes.
And I've never been afraid to fly, but then this was so disturbing. And part of why it was so disturbing was because they did a fantastic job of creating the effect. They used like computer simulation to make you feel like you were in that plane.
No.
And so then I had a nightmare that
Susie, I never hear about you having nightmares.
I know. It was
This
it had an
affected
impact.
you.
Yeah. And I was in the plane and it was going down. And here's my last words. I go, "Goodbye, life. I'll miss you." Sarah, for real.
This is very similar to "I'm out of control."
And so then I
I
crashed.
think maybe there's a lot of info in there. "Goodbye, life. I'll miss you."
Yeah, right. Maybe I'll keep that in mind.
Keep
when
that
the
in
going
mind.
gets
You will,
tough.
you will miss it.
Right. So anyway, I crashed in my dream, and then I didn't die, and I was like, "What?"
Well, of course.
And then I was buried alive, which is my worst fear.
Your worst fear.
In the rubble, and so then I died that way. But anyway, it's just whenever you see the footage and you really can imagine the people on there and their babies and their loved ones.
No, I can't because I'm an empath. So
Oh my God. Yeah, don't watch it.
let me make it about me.
For real. You
No.
will, it isn't nice because you really start to think about what that would be like. It's not abstract anymore. It becomes like,
Well,
Literal.
I think that's really what you said just kind of highlighted it. Is like when we can imagine ourselves in the experience.
yeah.
I wonder if that has to do with empathy and all that kind of stuff. The ability to visualize yourself in the same situation. That's a flip side to the coin. You're creative and you can imagine a bunch of different things. Well, you can also imagine a bunch of different things.
Well, and I'm sure that the brain has all sorts of coping mechanisms that vary from person to person. And that's why for most of us, when we hear the World Trade Center collapses or even just about war, yes, it sounds terrible, but you don't have that like visceral, because your brain won't let you kind of feel it truly.
And as we learned in what so many people talked about, and when my mom had her accident, your brain will snip, snip, delete, cut out those things. So we're really just creating our imagination of what we like. If we actually go through that, we don't remember it. So
what do you think? I mean, this is grim, but what do you think you would be like if you were, in a situation where for a couple minutes you were very aware that you were not going to live anymore? Like, what do you think?
Well, I have I don't have an experience like that, but I know when I had a drowning experience, what my last thoughts were.
Was it goodbye life? I'm going to miss you.
That's so funny. What if? It was kind of more boring. I mean, just as boring. It was, I'm not dead yet. I'm not dead yet. I kept saying that.
That's interesting.
Knew I was tossed. I was only about 13 or 14 at the time. And I was surfing or swimming out in the water. I must have been surfing because I remember not having something to hold on to anymore. That was it. Like there was no leash or there was nothing to hold it. Maybe I was boogie boarding or something like that. But a big, huge wave came, big swell came, and I got all tossed around, and I didn't know which way. I didn't have a lot of air when I went under the wave, and I didn't know which way was up. And I did not know that you're supposed to look at your bubbles. I couldn't see because it was all sandy, and so I swam to the direction I thought was up, and I hit my head on the bottom, and I knew that I did not have enough air to make it back up. And I just kind of sat there. In the same way, it was a very familiar feeling when I was in that. Remember when I did that challenge in that glacier and I just sat at the bottom of the lake? That felt
my
the same.
favorite.
That felt very of like, okay, you're just going to surrender. You're going to sit in this water right now and you're going to be okay. I knew they wouldn't let me die in the challenge one. But when I was underwater during this near drowning experience, I just kind of then stopped swimming in the water because I knew I wasn't going to make it back up. And then I just remember having probably about 3 or 4 times the phrase, well, you're not dead yet. You're not dead yet. You're not dead yet. And then then that was the last thing I remember.
What do you mean?
Like, then I don't remember. Then next thing you know, I was like being pulled to shore.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't know that part of the story.
Yeah. There's nothing.
You passed out.
Yeah.
No.
And I know that the lifeguard found me because he saw my bubbles. That's what they said. The lifeguard saw my bubbles, and they went out on a jet ski, and they pulled me in on a jet ski and a boogie board. Like, they pulled me onto the boogie board, and then I was pulled in on a jet ski. And then this was told to me, and then I just remember being on the beach.
Do you think that you took it on water? You must have.
I must have.
But they caught you soon enough where then they could just get it out.
They saw the bubbles, and then my friend went in. Like, I was with somebody else, and she went in, so they knew that there was another person out there, and they just looked for bubbles, and I guess. But that thought of you're not dead yet was and it was very peaceful. It was fine. And then in my mind, I was like, oh, yeah, it was fine. Drowning is not a problem. I'd love to go that. I mean, not love, but over, like, it was very peaceful. It was like, yeah.
But it wouldn't be if you were conscious when you started taking water in. That would be hideous.
But in a weird way, I did start taking water in when I was in the challenge one.
Well, that does feel good if you're saying it's not bad.
It was not bad, and that's when the diver was like, "You got to go up, you got to cut it," and he was like, "Give me the signal."
My favorite story about Sarah, hands down.
He was like, "You're gonna die if you don't." He's like,
"No,
stop.
You would have rather died."
I wasn't gonna die. I just knew that the body can go a little bit farther than you think it can.
It's like David Blaine over there, like. Oh,
and then
my
I just
God.
did because he saw me do this. If you're on Patreon, you can see it. But he saw me do this motion.
Oh my God, she was gulping it like
that. But it wasn't like
it was like a gag
because your body's trying to take a breath, and so you're resisting it. And when he saw me do that, he was like, "Nope, You got to go to the top. Your body's fighting. This was the same stunt guy who also sent me to the emergency room when he felt my back, and he's like, "Nope, you're not sweating. You're having you're having heat exhaustion. We got to send you to the hospital." So he was like, his job was to like make sure Sarah didn't die from thinking that she could just keep going. And that's how you win challenges, folks.
By almost dying.
Mm-hmm. Almost dying.
Oh my God. All right. I need a palate cleanser. So I'm going to talk about Chime and how if you hate overdraft fees, you're going to
Who likes them?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Chime is the place to go.
Hello?
Because when your account balance is running low, you don't need an overdraft fee. You need someone to be like, yo, you got this, right? Okay, you can overdraft up to $200 on debit card purchases and cash withdrawals with absolutely no overdraft fees.
And everybody needs that every now and then, you know? Sometimes our moms fall off buildings, and then they're in Costa Rica, and then you have to put a bunch of stuff on your card, and then you don't even know.
Hypothetically.
If that maybe happened to you.
It may or may not have happened. Make your first good decision in 2022 and join over 10 million people using Chime. Sign up. Takes only 2 minutes and doesn't affect your credit score. Get started at chime.com/braincandy. That's chime.com/braincandy. Banking services provided by and debit card issued by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Get fee-free transactions at any MoneyPass ATM in a 7-Eleven location and at any Allpoint or Visa Plus Alliance ATM. Otherwise, out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees may apply. Sometimes pay anyone. Instant transfers can be delayed. The recipient must be a valid debit card or be a Chime member to claim funds. All right. Well, anyway, I recommend the documentary because it is fascinating and informative, but it is troubling because, my God, like hundreds of people died needlessly, especially in the second plane. Because if they had just grounded them after the first plane, instead of blaming brown people, then the second plane wouldn't have gone down. Okay. I'm going to appease Sarah a little bit here.
Oh, love this. This.
I feel like I was too harsh on the last episode, like being all like, you don't feel vibrations from people. It's not contagious like someone's energy. Okay.
I'm leaning in.
There is an article in the New Yorker.
Credible source.
Credible source. And so it's about monks who lived. Okay, let me read the exact details so you can hear it for yourself. Okay, they're a group of. This was in a room, a cold room, about 40 degrees, and these are monks that live outside in the cold all the time and wear like basically diapers only, but they're fine. They have no problem with internal heat. And
also, as somebody who's moved to the cold, 40 degrees, I'm like, that's warm. That's fine. Everybody's getting that.
Not in your underpants and not without any breaks.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Fine.
Like, shiver me timbers, basically.
Okay.
And so people had been studying them, and they would, like, watch them. They would go and put, like, cold, wet towels on their backs, and they would meditate, and there would be, like, steam coming up from the towels. Ooh,
I love this shit!
Things like that. That aren't just sort of like them saying like, no, I'm fine.
Right.
And,
like, that aren't just like men who wear shorts in the snow. This is not, we are not talking to them.
Exactly.
That is so funny because I saw exactly where your mind went with that. Not them.
Right. And so then they did this little kind of observation and they went back and talked to a scholar about it. And she was like, the steam was probably because the water on the towel was cold, but their bodies are warmer than the towel. So that's like we see steam outside in the cold all the time. And like if their fingers are warmer, I mean, big whoop, you can imagine your fingers in hot water and they will warm up.
100%.
But the real test is core temperature. You know, like if you have a fever or if you're,
right.
You know, what is the opposite? Hypothermia. So she went out there and was like, let me see for myself. And so here's the circumstances. The room was cold, about 40 degrees. A group of monks wearing only underpants sat on the floor along with a few buckets of cold water. They did the whole sheet shenanigan. And then Then they increase their core body temperature from 98.6 to 108. So this isn't just
108?
technically a fever.
Susie, technically go to the hospital.
No, I'm so sorry. 100.8.
I was like,
Go to the hospital.
they are currently boiling their brain.
Now they're dead. But they really proved a point.
Still 100. I mean that I'm still. Let the record show I'm also shocked at 100.8. But I just like I had questions at 108. I was like,
they were willing to die to be like,
they're
fuck
dead.
you. We did it.
Like, maybe not the best meditation.
I'll tell you about their meditation. It's called the vase.
The vase?
The vase. Where they, okay, let me read the details.
Oh my gosh, this is great. I want to use this on every single chairlift.
Okay. They contract their abdomen and pelvis.
Okay, doing
Contract it. And then you have to imagine a fire from your navel up. And then your spine you have to imagine that being on fire.
Okay. Ooh.
Okay. Now do that for years and years. It's what it said. It takes years. But like, what a handy little tool.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm telling you, Susie, our minds are powerful.
Yeah. Well, theirs
we know
are.
This.
Theirs are.
Ours are too.
Ours are theoretically. Like
they
could be if we tried.
We tend to flex the worst case scenario muscle more than the best case scenario muscle. And that becomes strengthened, and that is what we recognize. But if we were to do the, like, for example, I'm stepping out into snow. Ooh, I'm cold. That's the first thing we all say. Every single time you do that, that's flexing that muscle. If every single time since the day you were born, not the day you were born, you know what I mean, you stepped outside into the cold and said, ooh, it's so hot out here. You would have a different association with the cold. So we're strengthening it. We're doing it all the time, but in these subtle ways that we don't realize that we need to, like, it's almost like we always think, well, what if the worst thing happened? Well, we never think, what if the best thing happened? We need to do that more. Oh, I have a sneeze.
The writer of the article, though, rightly pointed out that if you were to use this technique for the avoidance of just sort of life's fluctuations, that would maybe be in conflict with the essence of Buddhism, which is true, which embraces suffering and acknowledges it as just like part of life. And what we kind of talked about last time, like maybe we shouldn't be seeking happiness, maybe we should seek these other things. That maybe if you just wanted to not be so cold, you could do the more superficial one where you think about hot water and like try to enjoy that for a few minutes while you're outside having a time in the sun.
But I would also imagine that just because you can raise your core temperature and do all that at a certain amount of time, basic exposure, even though you feel okay, you expose the body to those temperatures and you will get
conditioned.
Certain and like, but even like suffer the bad things that come with that. Like you're still the body is not
like you can get frostbite.
Yes, thank you. So the body and mind have to work in sync with each other. Often, I think where the majority of people live is in a place where they do not, where one can get ahead of the other. And so maybe they don't recognize the power of their body, so they're more in their head. And I think that can also be shifted in the other direction where you're so much in that meditative place that you almost forget to take care of your body. Like people who like go for fasting for too long and then they hurt their body in that way. That the goal for being a human here in this physical world that we exist in is to get that balance, is to get the balance between the mind and the body. And
like take care of yourself, but then, in a pinch, maybe tap into the old noggin.
Yeah. And like learning when to use those tools and when not. Because you don't want to avoid feeling. You don't want to avoid pain. If we use our mind to say, oh, I'm not going to feel any pain, then what we can be doing is shutting our self off from receiving the messages that tell us we need to take action. Like, you need to get warm so you don't get frostbite. We need to be living in just because you can do it and use your mind in that way doesn't mean that you should. I feel the same about the people who are like lifting so much to like, oh, I'm going to see, and then they tear something, like, or you're moving just because you can doesn't mean that you should. You could do more. You have to find the balance and find that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like everything in moderation, even moderation.
Yes.
Kind of deal.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. It's just crazy what those guys can do. Because like, sometimes they participate in things like self-immolation where they light themselves on fire for a protest or whatever. And if they're practicing Buddhist monk, they won't even show any emotion or signs of distress when they are on fire.
I'd like to share something super annoying.
Okay.
My mother, when she had her accident with her feet, said that there were some like scarring and some like blisters in the bottom of her feet when I went to go check it out. And I was like, what happened here?
Oh, no.
And she goes, no, that was from the week before when I walked on coals. Are you kidding me?
No. That is something.
What am I supposed to do with that? I'm like,
she was at like her yearly
now,
ayahuasca meeting or something?
At the same time, I was trying to convince her that she needed to use the power of her mind to not be experiencing the symptoms of pain, and she needs to stop Googling her symptoms. Couldn't understand that.
That's interesting.
Fought me with that.
Why do you think she didn't make that connection? That's interesting.
Because...
well, yeah. She's human.
How perfect our eyesight, our vision, how true we see all too clearly what others should do.
I guess so. Damn.
Couldn't you, I was like, do you see that this is the same thing?
You were so close.
You were so close.
That is
maybe those wounds needed to heal.
That
so
is
the lesson
something
set in.
most
But I was
people
like,
do
are you
not
fucking
have to
kidding
deal
me?
with.
So apparently not just Buddhist monks are walking. Her and her friend who are celebrating her 60th birthday. My mom's friend was turning 60 and my mom was 65 and celebrating having Medicare, walked over hot coals.
Why do you think the hot coal thing has become like the sort of go-to mental test?
Because in reality you can do it like
yeah, but that's what's annoying to me about it.
Because,
like, why don't you stab yourself with a knife
like
and see how that goes?
It seems like something worse. That it's kind of like, do you remember when, like, maybe when you were a little kid, or if you're like me, anytime you're camping, when there's like a fire and you're like, ooh, I could run my hand through the fire, but it's like that part of the fire that's not really hot. Do you know this that I'm talking about?
Absolutely not.
What are you saying? Okay, well, now I'm going to have to, like, do a video of this. Like, you can, like, put your hand through a flame, and it's not, you don't feel a like...
Yeah, okay. Like people do with the match.
Yes,
exactly. At a bar or something.
I think it's that, because, like, but if I told you I'm going to put my hand in the flame, when I'm describing it to you right now, you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, that's crazy. But if we did this, you'd be like, yeah, I do that, that's not effective. It was like, ooh, It just, like, sounds like crazy. And I think running on coals is the same. You're touching them for such a little amount of time that you don't really, unless they stick to your feet, which sometimes they do.
Okay, then why don't they choose something that's actually dangerous if you want to prove to me how incredible you are?
Because they don't really want to prove how incredible. It's one of those things that everybody can do it.
Oh, okay.
It's a mind over matter thing.
Ones.
You just have to do.
Haven't
you seen that episode of The Office?
Yes.
Pam runs across the coals. It's all in your head. It's like, can I do it?
Yeah, but who doesn't think they can do that by now?
Susie,
What?
that's like, so who doesn't think they could do that? But that's like, who doesn't think that going in an airplane is scary? Who doesn't think that jumping out? People have done that a whole bunch.
Yeah, I know, but nobody would be
It's
like,
not gonna
guess
hurt
what?
you.
I went on an airplane.
But you could say, guess what? I went skydiving. It's doing something that the general population would think is intense, but when you really do it, it's like not that.
I disagree with you.
Okay.
Because
this is maybe our fourth fight, guys.
No, I'm not fighting. I just don't think I see your point because nobody would argue that the hard part about skydiving is physical.
No, the hard part is
it's
mental.
Just gravity. Right. But I think that when they pitch the old hot coals thing, you might understand that it's just mental. But I think most people think that it's at least partially physical, that it's hot coals. That's why they're hot.
So people just have a problem with understanding thermodynamics. What we're saying is that thermodynamics is
What we're saying is people are stupid.
Right. Science has failed us. Elementary school science has failed us. Either that or none of these people had brothers that were pyromaniacs. And I did. And so this was we had I have multiple experiences with my brothers lighting each other on fire as children.
I mean, the fact that neither of them have so far become serial killers is, impressive.
I think they're good.
Do you think they ever harmed any animals?
Absolutely not. My brothers are No, I'll tell you, because Jordan is like
He's
could
so
not
peaceful.
hurt a fly.
Yeah, he's very
like
sweet.
Jordan. I remember when
They're
he had
both
he had a
lovely.
girlfriend when he was in third grade, and that kid spent, no joke, 2 hours looking at not a girlfriend, just a girl he had a crush on for Valentine's Day. Looked at every single card in the entire CVS to make sure that he got the perfect one. Like hours we spent, and I'm like, this kid is the cutest thing in the whole entire universe. So. And Lucas is like his nickname was Buddha Boy.
Yeah,
growing
that's
up.
true.
Because he never got mad at anything.
That's so true.
But he's kind of like Bo, where Bo is never going to be a fighter, but when she sees something that's going on, like there was once a little dog that she needed to protect, and Bo took down a pit bull and was like, don't fuck with that little dog. And Lucas was like, oh my God, I didn't know she had it in her, but she is going to protect you if anything goes down. And she will. So I think Lucas is kind of like Bo like that, where he would never, and you think, oh, he's so unassuming. But if he needed to, just going to.
Those are the best ones, because Adam's like that.
Yeah.
He's seems so passive or calm or whatever, but you do not want to mess with him. But that reminds me, your story about Bo, that story would be great for his mayoral candidacy.
Oh, Bo's?
Yeah.
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 It would. To say that she knows when to use violent, when
aggression is necessary, or when passivity.
When appropriate, can act with force and reasonable force and show restraint, because
and
she did
sticks
not
up for the underdog.
She
She
said dog. I think she didn't know that she said it, guys.
I didn't.
It was great.
Underdog, good one. Oh God, do you see how red I am?
It's
ever
great.
since we started talking about being buried alive, I've now been able
are you sure? Or are you picturing a fire in your spine?
This whole episode is about fiery death, then walking on coals, the monks getting overheated. I feel like my mind is doing that same thing.
Well, I always think in this time of Jane McGonigal's book and her game that she invented, the snow game, that was more effective than morphine on the burn victims. So if you need to have the opposite feeling of feeling really, really cold, you use your mind to do that too. So Susie's just putting a wine bottle. Is that a wine bottle you're cooling yourself off with?
But a nice chilled bottle of rosé, right?
I was going to say, it's rosé, so it's chilled, so you're good. Yep. This is great. Oh, I love it.
Okay, I know we got to go soon, but
no, I don't.
Not really. We have time.
Okay.
It's fine.
I was like,
I thought this was so fun. I like when we can talk about something that will incite rage in you. Like Amazon, Jeff Bezos.
Right.
So anytime I see a headline about that, I'm
I'm more
diving
ragey
right.
about that, by the way, because I'm trying to find wireless. Because I'm using before you go into the story, I'm going to share this little bit of rage because I'm like had a glass of wine, so now you have to hear it.
Yep.
I am looking for wireless headphones for when I'm snowboarding to like put like just and like the sports clip that you can wear, not the because I have AirPods, but like those will get lost in the snow. That's crazy. So I want like the sports clip ones. They're like minimum $20-something on Amazon. I was at freaking Safeway, and they were for sale for $7.99.
Oh,
Amazon's making us think that we're getting a good deal, but that shit's in the store for half price.
that is so true. It does vary.
So fuck that.
It's like how Walmart always prices bananas at below cost, so they lose money on bananas because bananas are the most purchased food.
So you go in there going, they have cheap bananas, but then you spend money on everything.
That's right. Then you go get their fucking headphones or whatever.
Yep. Same with toothpaste, 97 cents, cheaper than the 99-cent store by 2 pennies.
2 pennies. Every penny counts. Don't I know it? Okay, moving on.
What does that say about us that you and I know the exact price of things at like the exact price?
We're very conscientious people.
We are.
We are. And you're cheap.
Correct.
Sarah is frugal, but only with...
Susie, you're so fucking right. Today I went to an apartment complex where everybody, like an apartment that I'm like trying to rent, like going and renting. And I was like, oh, let me look at one that's a little bit lower than what's in my budget. Susie, it was me and like a bunch of 19-year-olds where this was like going to be a 2-bedroom for both of them. And I looked around and I was like,
hard pass.
I'm not in this price. This is not my, Sarah, you were this 10, 20 years ago.
I need to qualify my, my statement. She's only cheap with herself. She's not cheap with other people.
Oh, thank you. You're right. I don't.
That's
there's
a big difference.
I'm not cheap, but yeah. Thank you, Suze.
Because I cannot
only myself.
stand that when people are stingy with other people.
I'm not stingy with other people.
You are not.
No, you're
generous.
It's more at them. Yes, I know. Not no.
Because she's an empath.
Shut up.
No, for real though, it's true.
So
She's
funny.
only frugal with her
Myself.
own stuff, which is so self-sacrificial and lovely. But
Stupid. It's probably selfish in the end because I'm like, Susie, rescue me. I need a good pots and pans because I don't have any. Because I don't know why. I need new wine glasses is a perfect example. So it's like, you need to get yourself from freaking wine glass. And you know what I'm holding? Wine glasses that Susie got me. So that's my thing. I'm like, I won't treat myself to anything nice. And then the people in my life are like, for Christ's sake, let me buy you some wine glasses.
I read an article about what happens to your Amazon returns, which I've read. There was a great one in the Atlantic, which I read, but this one I enjoyed more because it was exploring
They have so much of my stuff.
How much do you, like, when you were more of an Amazon shopper, what percentage of the things would you return?
1/3.
Really?
Because most of them for crappy quality.
Okay. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like you were
like
tipsy.
nothing will be funnier than when I tried on the quote unquote silk lined, but not silk, satin lined. I should have read the fine silk like probably silky
Right.
beanie.
Oh yeah.
And then I pulled it off my head. You know that Albert Einstein picture that everybody like has on their wall with his tongue sticking out? Twinsies. Same.
Wow. Okay.
So went
you thought
right
it was
back.
a bargain. It was not.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
remember those connector things? These guys, these little doodads that connect the phone jack with the one out of every 3 of those don't work.
that's true.
So that kind of shit.
And so Sarah sends it back, and
Yes.
then whenever she does that, what happens to it is it's dead merchandise. They can't do anything with it. They can't resell it, even if it's unopened. And so they have to figure out what to do with it. Some places,
Really?
burn it. What?
Oh my
Like
God.
H&M.
Okay, hang on a sec.
Famously burns them.
How come I'm getting used shit then?
From Amazon?
Yeah. How come some things definitely 100% have been opened and looked like somebody else has used this and returned it.
Wow. Maybe there's more to the story.
100%.
I don't think I've ever experienced that, but that's terrible.
Okay, I'm going to need you guys to write in, let us know.
Because I'm not saying I'm wrong.
Have you received things where it clearly and I'm not saying you bought this used, because sometimes I'll do that. You buy it used for
Oh, yeah, like refurbished or something.
Right, I am not talking that. I'm talking my regular old sunglasses.
Hypothetically.
I returned them. I said, these have been used, and they swapped them out for a new pair. I was like, these are definitely
How did you know what was on them?
You know when something is new, like the plastic is in a certain place and it's all open, and then on something else there was definitely dog hair on it. And not mine.
So gross. That's awful. I don't know. I don't know why that's happening to you, but in general it's supposed to be not sellable. And so they sell it to I don't know what you'd call it. Some sort of third party.
Like a liquid distributor?
Yeah. And then
liquidation distributor.
They will sell those like pallets of it.
Yes.
You don't get to pick and choose. It's like kind of like what's that, Storage Wars? Where like you don't know what you're getting and it's like $200, but it could be worth $1 million.
Yep.
And so then people on YouTube have these whole channels devoted to opening up what's in their Amazon returns pallet.
Susie.
Yeah.
My ex-boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, who then I became friends with because we connected over how cuckoo crazy he was.
Yeah.
Does this for a living with her brother.
No.
Yes.
For a living?
Yes.
She flips them.
Yes.
Flips them.
Like Storage War style.
Right. Do you think that because they were arguing that
they
most
make good
people
money.
that
They had
do
to buy
this,
like a new warehouse to store all the stuff.
The article implied or actually explicitly said that, you're not going to end up making like a ton of money usually, like maybe $12 an hour all told. But maybe they have bad luck. I don't know.
Or maybe
your friends.
The space. Yeah. And I think they ended up, I want to say that the, what are they called? Swap meet? Like they have like a swap, a booth for swap meet.
I mean.
And they do well. It seems like it. And it was like Amazon return, buy the pallet, a lot of electronics.
Well, that's the thing. I think you can
like
choose.
Hair straighteners, I remember.
That was one they mentioned.
Oh my God, that's funny because that's what she mentioned. And that stood out in my brain where I was like, I get that because I've returned too.
For not working right?
Or just not meeting the expectation. A lot of times it's not. I think we've gotten real. Amazon is the new Nordstrom.
For hair straighteners.
For anything you need to return.
Right,
right. This wasn't good.
Okay.
Take it back.
But whenever someone's bidding or buying one of these pallets, it might say like mostly clothes. Like they do have some sense of maybe what's in there.
Yeah.
But sometimes it'll be like, it'll look like it got run over by a car. And then other times it's in brand new condition. You just have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just such a weird.
I'm not into this. I don't want that job. But I can see how that is appealing to some people. It's essentially like the garage sale. It's the garage sale crowds. Treasure hunting, and then it becomes like, yeah.
It does make you realize how much crap we buy, which I'm always talking about. I
hate it. And here's another thing I'm going to complain about with Amazon. I wanted to get, I'm like snowboarding a lot, and I need something to put in my boots to absorb the odor and absorb the moisture. So they have these great charcoal,
inserts.
They only come in a pack of 8.
Yeah.
I had to buy a pack of 8.
How many shoes do you have, though? I mean, I feel like you could. Oh, you mean the boots?
Yeah.
You have no other stinky shoes. I see your point.
Well, I mean, I maybe.
Hey, yeah. But you feel
Nothing
like,
that-
why can't you buy
But it
one
feels like I
pair?
have to buy in,
Yeah.
you know, I'm buying extra stuff when I don't. You said the same thing. I remember you bought something and you were like, it came in a set of 3. It was scissors, office scissors, something like
Wow,
that.
how do
where
you
you're like,
remember
it
that?
came
Of
in
all
a set
things
of
for you to
3.
remember.
I know. I can't remember when I have important meetings and shit, but I'll remember the pack of scissors that
Susie bought scissors one time in a pack of 3.
in a pack of 3. And you said to me, you're like, yeah, it came in a pack of 3. Here, have one of these because what am I going to do with 3? It was, or a spatula. It was a kitchen tool. It was either
Yeah.
kitchen scissors or a kitchen spatula. And something
that.
that came in a thing of 3 at your old house. Mm-hmm. And we were having the same discussion. I'm like, you can't even help it. Even if you wanted to buy one, the ones that you like came in that.
Yeah, and I don't feel like people are into this. Even when I talk about it, I feel like people are like, stop saying that.
No, I
But
love
we
when you
buy
say-
too much stuff, you guys.
And remember how you were talking a couple weeks ago, maybe it was like last week or so, about how you love throwing products away, you love finishing?
Yes. Use it all.
I finished a bottle of like hairspray, hair conditioner, whatever, spray bottle. Usually, before this conversation that you and I had, I would have thought to myself, you should keep that just in case you can refill it with something, use it, you know, like do it. I'm doing that thing where I'm like holding on to the Tupperware from like, I'll reuse the Ziploc. I said, fuck that.
No.
I'm going to throw it away.
She's throwing it away.
It felt so good.
It does.
I
Out
was
with the
like,
old.
I am lighter. This place is less cluttered. It instantly made me feel. This thing was also travel sized. It couldn't have been more than 1.5 inches tall. I felt like I had cleaned out an entire drawer.
Listen, if there is something
thank you.
can reuse, it is great to keep it and use it if you can. But there is a fine line between the worlds of hoarding, whatever.
Oh,
but I
and I'm
do
walking
love like finishing something to completion and then starting fresh.
And this had already been refilled and then used. So it had been, I had already used it for
Good
its
for you.
all intents and purposes.
It's such a great thing.
So thank you.
But just know when you're returning all that crap that you probably shouldn't have bought on Amazon, it's just ending up on a weird ass YouTube channel.
Yeah. Or like a swap meet. And then what happens with it? What happens
hate
to
it.
the stuff that like this person doesn't want it and this person doesn't want it and this person doesn't want it? One of the darkest places I ever went was the Goodwill donation center outlet where it was just
my God. Listen,
I accidentally ended up there.
Goodwill. At that point, go ahead and give it away.
Go ahead. Yeah, just freebie. Right. It was like that. They did it like the pallet. They were like, this entire bin is fine. I was like, at that point, just fucking
It's over.
take it. I said that with my washer and dryer at my last place I lived. I was like, it's going to be more expensive for me to move this out of here. Just take it.
I cannot believe they have a
For
Goodwill
freezies.
outlet.
Yes.
Imagine what is in there.
No, nope. And you don't.
Oh my God.
Don't.
I noticed the other day on PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I didn't know this, but you know how they hate fur and they like throw powder and whatever. So when they get furs donated to them, they send them to like third world countries because they're like, hey, they are the only people that are allowed to use them. Like people in cold countries that could use a little
Siberia.
warmth. I didn't know they
probably
did
nice
that.
there.
I would have thought that they would have, burned it or whatever because they're so mad. Because they're not exactly.
You want to know? When I lived in, I want to say it was either Long Beach or San Francisco, one of the two that did this. There was a company called Furs for Furs, and they would collect your furs, and then they would give them to animals like who had been a bit
Right.
like
to give them
to keep
comfort.
the
And
yes.
that's nice. Okay, see, that's good.
And
but
so, like,
let's
the-
face it, PETA
you
isn't
know.
known for being like subtle or like nuanced. So I didn't think that they would do that. But
Oh, yeah,
that was
that's
nice
good.
to hear.
We like
We
that.
need to wind it down. Why are we
We
still
do.
talking?
We've gone off the rails, just keeping you guys.
Why are we
It's
talking
me.
right now?
It's me. I needed to vent so much. It's probably that empathetic narcissism.
I mean, we talked about so much. Monks, empaths. planes crashing.
Oh my God, so much.
Terrible. And then Sarah
also
Sponda. Sarah.
Adoreo, Adora Boom Deo. If anybody else knows that song, Adora Boom Deo.
it's a real song?
I say Tateo. Hey! That's how it went.
That's how it goes? In real life?
That's the song.
She didn't
Sarah
make it
Sponda.
up?
No, I don't think so.
Oh my God.
Somebody sang this to me when I was little. I don't think it's I think it's a real song.
Okay. Because I thought this was a Sally Rice original. Like, I sing
we'll
songs
see.
to Lincoln all the time. Like, Bungalicious, You're Delicious. I mean,
It's adorable.
like, I make up
Should be a
songs.
song.
I thought Sarah Sponda.
Bungalicious, You're delicious. I love to give you a million kisses. Come on.
Right. I know. I love it. I
just
love
off the top of
creating
my
a
head.
ditty. So I thought that's what Sally did. But you're telling me this is already a hit single. Sarah
Maybe.
Sponda.
Or they made it up. I still don't know.
All right. We got to go. I love you guys.
Bye.